what's happening? Chris Martinez here, host of Operation Agency Freedom. Man, have I got a good episode for you guys. So I've got my friend and client Nick Ponte on this episode, and he's in a very unique location. So his agency is based in Hawaii, specifically in Maui. All of his clients are based in Hawaii. So he's an example of what we called it on the show is his niche is regional. It's not necessarily industry specific, which is really, really interesting. So Nick's going to be talking all about that, how he got started. He also has a Facebook group for newer agency owners. He's going to be talking about that. And we kind of went off on this tangent about how you can build an agency in a local market, because so often we talk about you got to go big, you got to expand, you got to go national or maybe even global, try and find all your clients. You don't have to do that. Nick proves that you can build a 7-figure regional, local type of agency, which is really, really cool. So we go off of this tangent. We start talking about how you can start a local or a regional agency. We talk about print marketing that you could use to start your agency. And I never really talk about launching an agency or what it takes to launch an agency. So this is something totally new, but it's just so freaking good that we have to share it with everybody. So I'm super, super excited for this episode. I think you're really going to enjoy it. So if you want to learn about how to maximize your local or regional reach with your agency, definitely jump on. If you want to hear about some interesting and innovative ways to use print to generate new clients for your business, definitely jump in and listen to this episode. And if you just want to hear a different perspective from somebody who's built an agency in a very, very unique area, jump in and listen to this episode. You're going to love it. So with that being said, let's head over and let's hear from Nick. All right. Very excited. We've got Nick Ponte here. He's coming live from Hawaii and specifically Maui, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. I've never been to Maui. I've only been to Hawaii once. I was 23 years old. So it was 20 years ago. I can't believe it.
You got to get back out here, man.
I know. My wife has been dying to get out to Hawaii. She's never been. And, she's from Mexico. So for her, it was always kind of like that dream place to go. So,
well, man, we should do it. Actually, I feel like, you and I have been working together a little more closely lately. It'd be cool to have you out here. We should actually consider that at some point.
Okay. Maybe that'll be on our agenda. We have our big trip that we want to do this year is we want to do an African safari. So we're looking at July for that. But other than that, we don't have anything on the agenda. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show, and thanks so much for being here. Obviously, you wear really cool shirts on Fridays.
It's Aloha Friday.
It's Aloha Friday.
Wear our Aloha shirt here every Friday.
That's awesome. But the main thing is that I've never had anybody on the show who has an agency in Hawaii. And the reason why I think that's so unique and special, and why I think the listeners are going to enjoy learning about that, is because it's an island, it's remote, it's a very unique culture, and as well as a very unique business climate too. Very much, like, I don't want to necessarily say like locals only, but like there is a sense of community from people who live in Hawaii, and there's not necessarily like super stoked on outsiders coming in and stuff like that. And so why don't you just kind of start off by telling us about how you got started with the agency and working in Hawaii?
Yeah. So I actually am from here.
Yeah.
Born and raised on Maui. So I don't have that story of, making a bunch of money and building a lifestyle business and migrating to Hawaii and living on a beach. I'm actually from here, and it is an interesting environment to grow a business and grow an agency. And you are right. Like there is that perspective of, there is kind of a locals only perspective, honestly, for being real, there is kind of that. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Like, I don't know that necessarily is something that is important to really focus on in starting a business. But yeah, so I'm from here. I was a mechanic before I really got into this. So I used to work on cars for a living. Yep. And my first real interaction with actually doing any sort of digital marketing was my boss at that time one day, like I went into the office and he was working on something on the computer, and he was obviously visibly frustrated. And I was like, what are you working on? He's like, oh, I'm working on my website. It's giving me some problems. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he was like, I don't really know. And I was like, well, let me look at it. I could probably figure it out. And so I looked at it, fixed it, and was actually able to like solve another problem for him somehow, just, by looking it up online. And he was like, man, I would be interested in like paying you to help me with this. And I was like, okay, sure. Why
Light
not?
bulb moment. You're like,
Yeah, total light bulb moment. And so I did that. And at that time, I wasn't like, okay, I'm going to go all into digital marketing or anything like that. But I remember having that thought in the back of my mind, like, man, that would be pretty cool if there were other people out there that'd be willing to pay me to help them with some sort of like online thing where I wouldn't have to be out in the shop sweating my butt off,
covered
getting
in
in all
grease.
these uncomfortable positions in an engine bay, getting
Right.
covered in grease and getting paid for that, sitting in some air conditioning. That'd be pretty nice. I remember that vividly. And that kind of planted the seed. And eventually I had another friend who got fired from his job at a bike shop and was like, had a total moment of like, I'm going to start my own bike shop. Screw that guy, his
Right.
old boss and the old company he worked for. And I just so happened to be like around him at that time. And I was like, man, I could probably help you with your website. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, you can pay me $500 and I'll do it for you. And I did. I built him a GoDaddy drag and drop website builder website. And at that time I was like, all right, I should probably reach out to some other people and see who I can find that would be interested in paying me for this. That would be my side hustle. Because Hawaii is a really expensive place to live. It's one of the most expensive states in the country. And you need a side hustle to live here pretty much. So that's kind of how it started.
Wow. It's funny because that was kind of like the same thing for me, was building the websites, except that they were for myself. And then eventually I started building them for other people and then turned into marketing. So, like you have another Facebook group too, where you're coaching people on how to grow a 6-figure business. What came first? Was it that or the agency that kind of, what was the evolution?
No, it's definitely the agency.
Okay.
So yeah, the agency, I started getting clients in the agency, and the website thing, I was like, man, that's cool, but I have to go out and get new clients every month. It would be nice to just get paid monthly for something. And the first kind of thing I got paid for was like posting to social media for people.
Okay.
And I would write the post, now we have ChatGPT and all that. I would write the post for a restaurant. And I also got like a hosting job where I like outsourced the hosting. So I had these like little things that I was getting paid monthly for. And that's when I really started to kind of go all in on it, because I realized like, okay, I can get a good base going of income. And in doing that, there was another guy here that was also starting his agency. Maui's a small place, small, tiny island. And I got introduced to him through a mutual friend who had like a blog that did really well with traffic. And we were like the only kind of like guys that we knew that would kind of like nerd out and talk about WordPress. And so he decided to get us together for coffee, and we became friends. And so he had his agency, which was like a couple of clients. I had mine, which was a couple of clients. And, we would meet every now and then and talk about client getting, and somehow like maybe split some of the work sometimes and some clients and stuff. And while we were out there getting clients, like eventually we were like, man, rather than really see each other as competition, like maybe we'll team up on some of these things, which we did. And we started getting information online from like product creators and people, out there. And what we found is that like sometimes we'd buy a product and we'd get in there and there would be like kind of like half the strategy that they sold you on, or not totally complete, or maybe it was an old strategy. And we kind of saw a little gap there in what was being offered at the time and what we were seeing as agency owners. So we got the agency going first, and we were like, man, what if we just share with people what we're actually experiencing in our agency right now? And that's where our Facebook group started. So we just started talking about that.
That's awesome. Just to plug your Facebook group, by the way, how many people are in it, and like, what's the name of it?
It's called Offline Sharks, and it's, I don't know, it's got like 15,000 people or something like that in there.
Nice.
They're all agency owners. And yeah, I mean, now that our agency has grown quite a bit, it has really grown as our agency has grown, as
Hmm.
we innovate and get new strategies and grow and build our team and solve problems and find solutions. Like, we continue to share that information there, and it has become a place where people have found that to be kind of their community to do that, and get help with their agency as well.
Yeah, it's perfect. I love it because everything that you put in there is like battle tested. It's not just theory, it's real world like stuff that's working. It's awesome.
And that was the important piece for me, because like a lot of those product creators out there, I figured out we're kind of doing that because there's a lot of financial gain to be made in just creating stuff out of thin air.
Hmm.
But I can't do that because I'm not that creative. I have to like actually have something that I'm doing to talk about.
Yeah,
And so that was the only way that it would work for me.
right.
And still
Well,
till this day, you know?
right. So in the agency now, do you have clients on all the different islands, or are the majority of them on Maui specifically?
Yeah, we have pretty much clients on all the different islands.
Okay. So one
Yeah.
of the things that you talked to me about, because obviously Chat GPT and content creation, it's just taken over everything, content wise. But what's unique about Hawaii is that there's so many unique words, right? And like the way that you say things is different because of the local community and things like that. Um, what have you learned by running your agency in Hawaii specifically that has really helped you to uh, maintain your position as one of the top agencies in that region compared to like other people that want to come in from the outside where they just don't know the culture? Like what are some of the unique things that you've learned growing this business that have helped you to dominate your region?
Well, what's been really helpful is actually just being here.
Yeah.
You know, it's I have been fortunate enough to grow this business with another business. So financially, it has been super helpful to have multiple things, multiple
Hmm.
income streams. And when you're an agency in, we call it the mainland, you're on the
Hmm.
mainland and you're trying to prospect and find clients in Hawaii, it doesn't really work. Like, people in Hawaii, they don't want to hire somebody in Utah because, like you said, the language is different, the culture is different, the the customers are different. The people that are trying to get customers in Hawaii, the demographic is entirely different than people would think it is somewhere else. So just being here has been a huge asset in getting more clients and establishing myself as an authority and a good agency owner that people can refer business to.
Hmm.
And the thing is it's difficult to start a business here to really get traction, because as we know, to get traction, like, that's the most difficult part in any business. To go from, 0 to 1 is increasingly difficult than
Yeah.
going from 5 to 10.
Yep.
And so I was lucky enough to be able to kind of supplement my income in going through some of those flatter spots of starting a business. And I'm able to provide a better service than most of than all the people out here, because there's just, we're in kind of a sweet spot for businesses here, because on one hand, you don't want to have if you're a local business, you don't want to hire the big box agency that
Hmm.
puts you on their roster and you're like a drop in the bucket, you
Hmm.
know? But you also, if you're a pretty successful business, you don't necessarily want to work with just the freelancer guy.
Right.
You want to have somebody that has a team
They
of
want.
experts, a couple people, experts, that they're paid well, they're incentivized, they've got continued education, they know how to do stuff, they're even getting better with the changes in the market and keeping up
Hmm.
with AI and all that stuff. And you're able to provide an even greater value and a service for those people. And that's what we do. And people know that. And word of mouth is the best testimony of that.
I'm just curious, like, what's one of the things that somebody from the mainland, an agency owner in the mainland, would say to a prospective client in Hawaii, and the Hawaiian would just be like, "Nah, this guy doesn't get it." Like, is there anything like, is there like a red flag that like they can just see? Because like, let me give you an example. Like, if I'm in Mexico and I'm walking around, they can just tell that I'm an American,
Right.
And if I open my mouth, clearly they know that I'm an American.
Of
Is there
course.
something similar with in
Oh,
Hawaii?
it's absolutely that way. It doesn't matter how hard you try. You can spot someone that's not from here
Hmm.
a mile away. But to your example of an agency owner and prospecting, whatever, I mean, if you call from a phone number that's not the 808 area code,
Hmm.
you're not gonna. Your chances are they're gonna be like, "Why are you calling me?
Right.
Like, why we're not even gonna consider this." So you can just start there,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of, you have to be boots on the ground to understand. We've had a good example of getting people kind of a little bit more of a understanding of this is we always get clients that are coming off of a bad experience with somebody from working with somebody that doesn't understand the climate there. Maybe
Hmm.
they worked with somebody on the mainland.
Hmm.
And we had somebody recently tell us that, they were writing blog articles about going on a whale watch here. We have humpback whales that come a few times a year. And in the blog content, it says something about like bringing a hoodie and a beanie and a scarf, which you would never, ever get on a boat tour here with a beanie and a hoodie and a scarf. It's freaking 90 degrees every single day, at least,
Yeah.
So you have to understand it, and people know that.
It's interesting because everybody has heard, niche down, niche down. And for 99% of agencies, that makes sense to go into a specific like plumbing or lawn care or plastic surgeons or whatever. But your niche is actually the region. It's interesting that it's both. You're right. Like I don't know many
Yeah.
other areas that are like that.
No, I don't either. And it has actually been kind of this like ongoing dilemma in my mind of just as a topic. And
Hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad you actually worded it that way, because that is how I have come to decide on my niche is my region.
Yep.
And I've never heard anybody else like just agree with it
Well,
and come out with it on their own. But I think it, because I talk to a lot of agency owners myself, and a lot of people are like, you have to niche down. There's no way you're not going to do it. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, to me, it kind of comes down to like revenue and where you're at. Like if I'm starting a business and I have no clients, and my first client is a solar company, and a carpet cleaner is willing to give me money, am I going to like turn them down? No, I'm going to try to help them too. And I'm going to
yeah.
learn how to do or get better at what I'm doing.
Right.
And that's how I've grown. I had like a physical therapist, a makeup company, a solar company, a roofer, an activity company. I've learned how to get better at my skills through the entire process. I've got paid.
Hmm.
Sure, sometimes I had to go reinvent the wheel, but I wouldn't otherwise have been able to produce revenue and grow my business. So I think it makes sense to really niche down at a certain point. Or if your prospecting method is really specific, going after one audience, then sure, niching down makes sense because you're really going to a specific person. So
Yeah.
it kind of depends on your prospecting method.
So many things. It's, like there's no one way. It's not black and white. There's a lot of different ways to get to the same result. But I do believe that nobody's going to tell you to just stay with Hawaii because it's just such a unique thing. Like there's not another Hawaii that's out there. I can actually tell you, there was an agency that we worked with during COVID, right when COVID hit. They were on Oahu, I believe, and they only worked with hotels in
Mm.
Hawaii, and they went out of business overnight.
Oh
Like they
yeah.
literally closed their doors and never reopened, as far as I know. So they picked a niche in Hawaii, which is a very unique region, and they just happened to like have bad luck with COVID, and then they were gone. So that's one of the only instances where I think somebody picked a niche and then it ended up failing super super fast and like just put them out forever.
Well, that would have actually happened to me multiple times, which like COVID was kind of the black swan event.
Yeah.
And at that time, I thank God I was a generalist, as they say, and I had
Right. Right.
multiple, like I did have a lot of people in the activity space, and we still do. And those clients definitely had no clients and had to cancel or pause. But the home service clients that we had crushed it. They
Yeah.
killed it. And then we started prospecting more. Like we pivoted a little bit. We created like a funnel where we started helping restaurants more. We started helping home services more. And we got
Hmm.
a lot of clients at that time through that. So we survived
Hmm.
and grew actually. But August, we had the fires happen here on Maui. Again, tourism dried up for a second time. Like that was, I mean, lightning struck twice. It never strikes twice, right?
Yeah.
And thank God I was diversified and had been building a sales team prior to that. And we had been going to other islands and getting clients in other places and other industries. And, we lost 20% of our clients, but if we had 60 clients at the time. So it's, we still were able to survive and maintain and thrive and, recover.
Yeah, and you're still having a breakout year, 7-figure year. I think first time
Mhm.
that you guys are breaking that number, which is fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But for those that are listening, like this, the point the reason why I'm having Nick talk about this and why we're talking about this is because yes, you do need to niche, but you also need to kind of think about black swan events or things that could happen that might potentially put you out of business. If you pick the right niche, you can be incredibly successful, right? And if you
Agree.
get lucky. But sometimes things happen, and as we're going into 2024, you kind of do need to play devil's advocate with your niche and be like, are things as stable as I think they are? Like real estate could be another one. If that's your niche, man, I'd be scared going into 2024. I'd be scared this entire year, but I don't know what's going, like, especially commercial real estate. I don't know what's going on. People are saying that interest rates are going to come down, which maybe that'll fuel more real estate transactions happening. But who the heck knows? I don't know. Do you know of any niches right now that you would be that you're a little bit worried about?
No, not, I mean, I guess I'd probably have to put some thought into it, but not really off the top of my head. I mean, I would just be more, like you said, for people that are out there that might be wondering if that is them. I don't know. How do you look at, I think it's risk. It's looking at risk of your business. That's
Yeah.
that's what I consider. And we kind of go through the SWOT annual SWOT analysis, or at least
Yep.
I do by myself at
Yeah.
a
We just did
early
ours last week,
agency.
actually. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how do you, is that what your process is for kind of looking at something like that? And would your niche fall into that analysis as you're doing that?
Yeah. So what we've done in the past, this is the first year that we've officially done the SWOT analysis as kind of a part of our annual planning. What I do personally, though, is I do like I guess I was doing like an informal SWOT. I would look at the threats that we have in our industry. So one of the things that the dude was built on was outsourcing, right? And so like we had this unique relationship in Mexico with Mexican staff and designers and developers. And I've been working there for 2 years before I even launched Dude. And when we launched Dude, we would tell our agency clients like, hey, you need design and development help. We have this untapped resource in Mexico. You pay us, we get you the talent you need, everybody wins, right? Well, a couple of years back, we recognized that the outsourcing train was starting to slow down, and not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily because wasn't talent there, but the ability for people to find talent in Mexico, it's way easier than it was 6 years ago. 6 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, you couldn't send money to Mexico. It was really, really challenging to pay people.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's way easier, right? And so we recognized that that was a potential threat to our current business model. So
Yeah.
that's when we also started to really push the consulting.
Yeah.
Now we still have a bunch of outsourcing clients, but we are not taking on any more. Everybody that's coming to us now, they're looking for consulting help, like, which is what you came for. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
how do I build this business so that I can scale it? Maybe one day I want to do an exit. I don't know, but I would love to be able to have that option one day. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's essentially what we help our clients with. So I'm constantly looking at threats, and we look at the SWOTs. I look at our weaknesses and I look at our threats, and I think about what are the things that could potentially put us out of business. I kind of have to be a little bit paranoid about it too. And so like the other big thing that we're thinking about right now is AI.
Mm-hmm.
It's not yet at the point where it's putting a lot of people out of business,
Mm-hmm.
but it is coming. So I had a friend on the podcast just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he sold his agency for a lot of money, more than 8 figures. It was a uh, 8 figure buyout, right? He
Mm-hmm.
sold to an AI. Uh, it was a private equity firm that was essentially they were backing an AI ads technology. And so my buddy was just like, I either sell to them today and make a ton of money, or they're going to put me out of business in 2 years. So he sold. And he
Yeah.
was telling me, he's like, dude, AI is already running all the ads. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a matter of if, it's a matter of how soon this is going to put a button. He's like, if you run only ads, you're out of
Mm-hmm.
business. You're out of business and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
So that's something that we look at too. It's like, like what's the technology that's coming, and then how can we get ahead of it? So we're looking at how can we leverage this technology and help our clients to be more efficient, reduce costs, things like that. So I don't
Mm,
necessarily see that as a threat, as a
right.
more of an opportunity. But if we don't get ahead of it, it's a threat.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's a really good point, and it actually kind of ties in, or at least for my mindset, ties into what you said about like an agency starting an agency in a place like Hawaii,
Hmm.
because I know that there are probably some agency owners that are listening to this that maybe they don't live in like one of the biggest cities in America and they're trying to get clients,
Yep.
and for you, because that's I also fall into that school, or
Hmm.
that tribe. When I see something like that come along, it
Hmm.
really does just look like more opportunity for me. And especially being here in Hawaii, and especially you being in, wherever you are, some small town somewhere out there, because chances are the businesses in those areas are not going to be the ones that are quick to adapt to AI.
Hmm.
But if you are the guy that brings all that information to them, then you're going to give them such a greater competitive edge.
Hmm.
And that's going to allow you to, be the guy or girl or whatever that does that and get that word of mouth reputation, that person that can increase revenue and increase customers and sales for businesses. And that's going to be your snowball for you to really build your agency. And if it's just start one, but also, really have an edge on your competition too as an
Hmm.
agency owner. So I like all those things. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to those things.
Right. I have
Yeah.
one agency that we work with. They're in Mississippi, right? They are just on the cusp of rolling out a true digital marketing agency.
Hmm.
They have been selling videos. So they go around to the local community and they sell local business videos, like we've been selling these for 10 years, right? They're selling like 4 to 5 of those a day at like $1,500 a pop. And they've
Wow.
been doing this for years. Like they're right around $1 million just in the video business in Mississippi. So like they're literally just door knocking. They're selling
That's crazy.
everybody. They're selling everybody videos, right? And like you would think like this has been around for a long time. Like this isn't new. So the agency that they're now building is to upsell all these video clients, website, SEO, ads, and da, da, da. Point being is that like don't think that you have to work with everybody in an entire like country, right? Like Mississippi happens to be another one of those areas where the region is the niche and they
Hmm.
have the relationships there and they're
Hmm.
picking up tons of business just from the videos. We've forecasted by hitting their sales targets with both video and the new ad packages, or I should say marketing packages. I think next year they should be around 2.3. And then the year after that, they should be at around 4.5, between 4.5 and 5 million.
So doubling every year.
Yeah. And the
Nice.
profitability is going through the roof
Hmm.
because they're also going to be able to now leverage the technology to get stuff done way faster and like everything's going to become more efficient. So there's still tons of opportunity out there, right?
Oh, it's just getting started.
Right. Maybe that's the niching that everybody needs to start thinking about is instead of trying to go national or global, maybe we should start looking more regional and local, right? Because you're proving that it works. You've got the in, man. You've got the relationships.
Yeah. Well, one of our methods that we teach is for people to become like an authority in their local
Hmm.
market,
Right.
and the way that we do that is we build like a community resource type website, which is kind of
Hmm.
like a directory website. We have
Hmm.
this tool that we created that does that, and it allows you to give businesses in your area little
Hmm.
advertisements on the site. It's kind of like a business listing or a
Hmm.
citation, and by coming in and showing people this website where you have hundreds of businesses that are already on it, you're immediately like somebody in the area that somehow has a relationship with 100 businesses in Alabama or wherever.
Right.
And if you compare that with somebody that's just getting started that has an agency website but no clients, you don't really have a lot of authority.
Yeah.
So to get out of that, you've got to try to hijack your authority somehow, or build it up somehow.
Hmm.
And some people will, publish a book or whatever, all that stuff, but um, you got to do it somehow.
Do they have the like little community booklets that have like a bunch of coupons and stuff? Do they do that in Hawaii?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So, like we just moved back to San Diego. And so like the first week that we had our new house, they drop one of those coupon books in, and I'm like, oh, look at this. Like they have carpet cleaning and pizza and like all this stuff. Dude, that stuff has been around for forever, like since I can remember. You gonna grab one? You have it like right by your desk?
I thought I did. No, we have this other thing. Wait, hold on one second.
Yeah, but that's an example of something that's just been timeless somehow. You would think that we should have been able to phase that out by now, but there truly is no better way if you're a local business. There you go. Right?
So
It's just like a
this was a
two-sided sheet.
method that we used before where we created this and sold it.
Oh, nice.
But these are like 14 businesses on this card that all paid us $500 to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we blanketed, a town.
Right.
But now you got, 14 clients who just got all this value from you because you blanketed 10,000 mailers over an area.
Did you guys make money off of it too?
Oh yeah, this is an example of a strategy that we share in Offline Sharks.
Okay.
Teach you how to do it, whatever, give you all the templates, everything. This thing, we have people that have just do this. Like this is their business.
No way.
And they
That's
print,
awesome.
They do like 20 of these a year. But yeah, it's super profitable. It's like you make a few $1,000s off of every single one after all the costs.
Without going into all the details, essentially you find 14 to, I don't know, 20 businesses that, and you say $500 per month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it per week?
So the way this works is we sell an ad space for $500, and people that are just listening, I have this 9x12 super glossy, you can hear it, thick postcard that we have, 12 or 14 ad spaces on it, little ones. Mm-hmm. And we go into like, we sell them to carpet cleaners,
gym,
electrical company, pet shops for $500 a space one time. And then we use a mailing program with the post office that allows us to send it to 10,000 people for like a dime, like 12 cents or whatever. It changes a little bit every now and then. So 10,000 homes, like you could never get that kind of distribution really anywhere else, right? To get your offer on there. And the reason it works for them is because they're paying $500. It's like a co-working mailer. Everybody's paying for the mailing. And, the pizza place over here gets like 100 of them back, the coupons back every time we send one of these out.
No way.
So all they paid was $500. Like it's a killer way for us to get our foot in the door with, 12 businesses that we never met before. Cause now we can say, all right, we did that mailer. You got 100 redemptions. How about we start talking about doing some Google ads or some SEO? And we've already demonstrated value to them, and it's easy to continue to do business with them.
Dude, I love that. So if it's, let's just split the difference. If it's like 7 cents per contact for 10,000, that's $700. That's so cheap.
Yeah. So the fulfillment cost for that is like the graphic design, which is pretty simple. Now you can probably use AI for it.
Yeah.
That the posting, the shipping, and the printing, and essentially you make around $2,500 profit after all of that, but you also get the clients. So it's a foot in the door strategy. And, you're generating a book of business.
Dude, I love that. Especially for a local agency, man, this is how you're going to start. Like do one of these.
Yeah, it is. It is a good way to start a business. So the guy that I started working with when we started collaborating, like this was his main way to get clients. And when we started working together, he was doing this and he was crushing it in he had way more clients than me. And he was like, man, I need help with some of these clients. And I was like, all right, well, I'll help you with some of those clients. But I wanted to start doing some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we joined forces, because it really just turned into, we wanted to share with people how we were putting together unique ways to get clients. And that's what that other thing is. Foot in the door strategies, essentially.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. You're literally the first person that's ever gone on my podcast 100 and something episodes later that's ever brought up this kind of like this type of advertising for client acquisition. It's brilliant.
Well, it's print, right? Like people think it's dead, but man, I mean, it has its place. It has its use case. It has its utility, because when you walk into a business with this and you're trying to sell ad spaces and you just show them this, you're like, hey, I'm going to send this to 10,000 homes in this area. I'm selling spaces, $500. You want to put an offer right here? It's like if you're a business owner and you see that, you're like 10,000 homes, give me 2 of those. It's
Yeah, it's
easy
no
to sell.
brainer.
They
No
see it.
brainer.
It's very tangible. It's not a Google ad. It's not like, okay, there's not, the risk is so much less than, the other stuff that people do.
Yeah, well, they're perceived risk too because it's tangible. I've talked about this a lot. Like what we sell, it's an intangible thing. So like even if you're
Right.
running ads, a lot of the
Yeah.
times the business owner is not going to see that ad. So
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be like, is it actually like, is Nick actually doing what he said he was going to do? Or am I going to get ripped off like I did the last 5 times, you know? But
Yeah.
with that postcard, they can see it. A lot of the times they're going to get the mailing too. And then people are literally walking into the restaurant or the gym or the carpet cleaning place holding the ad. So
Yeah.
they know the attribution is so easy. It's like, where did this come from? Clearly it came from that
Right.
$500 mailing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
cool.
And it's funny being the person that, like, when you put these out and you start going around and you start seeing them
Hmm.
places, and so let's talk about the authority building. So now you're the guy that does this.
Hmm.
So now when even if you don't sell somebody this space, a business owner in the area got this thing. It's very difficult to miss. When it comes into the mailbox, it's like this. And so they pull it out and you're like, I have like 100% open rate, right? Everybody knows what this is. They've seen it. And now you come walk in and they recognize this, and it gets easier every time you try to do
Yeah.
it.
And there's no exclusivity, right? Anybody can do this. It's not like a Google search results page where, you have the top 3 ads and the whatever map listings, and then there's the 10 organic or whatever. Like anybody can start one of these programs with the Every Door Direct and the printing and everything, right?
Yeah. Yep.
The post office doesn't limit it and be like, oh, we can only have 20 of these.
No, nope. They're
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool because you can choose the routes that the post office will
Mhm.
deliver them to. So you can actually decide on the better neighborhoods with higher income levels or whatever you're trying to sell.
Right.
You can even start to say this is going to go out to 10,000 upper middle class neighborhoods in this area.
Oh,
Some people like
nice.
that.
Yeah, heck
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you're selling like custom cabinets or like high-end interior design or something like that,
Hmm.
you probably want to target those higher echelon more affluent neighborhoods, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we got a guy right now that's selling, one of our clients is selling $14,000 electric golf carts. and
Nice.
and people really want those things right now. They're electric and they're street legal, and they look cool and they go
Yeah.
fast too, right?
Right.
Gas is expensive here. So if you blanket this in an area of like all those $1 million homes where people are in those golf course communities, I mean, you spend $500 and you get 2 or 3.
Yeah. You
I
don't need
mean,
much.
no.
That's awesome. Well, we didn't even really talk about anything digital marketing related other than a little bit about AI, but I think this was definitely worth the price of admission if you're listening to this. Point being is that Nick has proven that there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a local agency and essentially making that your niche. And he shared with us a brilliant new client acquisition strategy that helps you to get your foot in the door and build trust. So this is awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
We're about out of time, but I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to share. So you mentioned the Facebook group again that people can go into that where they can get information like this.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for ways to get more clients, you can look up Offline Sharks, and you'll find our Facebook group and all that stuff there.
And then what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you? Maybe they have a client in Hawaii and they don't necessarily feel comfortable working with that person. Maybe they want to refer them out to you or just learn from you. What's the best way that somebody can keep in contact with you or reach out to you?
Yeah, so if you just go to Google, like type in Maui SEO or Hawaii SEO or the top agency. So you have all our contact information there.
That's like a humble brag. Just type in Maui SEO.
Just
We
trying to
pull
boost my click-through rate a little bit.
up. Okay. I like it. I can appreciate that. Well, Nick, thank you so much for being here, man. You spread so much knowledge today. I'm very appreciative. I learned a ton, which is great. And we'll definitely have you on again. So have an awesome
Yeah.
day, Maui. Enjoy Aloha Shirt Friday, and
Thanks,
we'll
man.
talk to you
Appreciate
later.
it.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Hey, thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to me if you would subscribe to the podcast and also share it with friends, family, and basically anyone you know who will find the same value in this episode as you do. So, to get the latest from me, then let's connect on social media on the Facebooks at facebook.com/dude agency or Instagram at dudeagency.io. Then you can also find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and even TikTok. Yes, I'm that cool. We are on TikTok. Finally, go to our website at dudeagency.io where you can see all of our other episodes of Operation Agency Freedom, register for live trainings on how to run a highly profitable agency, and you can see exactly how we help marketing agencies fix their operations and scale to 8 figures and beyond. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you next time.